So let's talk about winners, man. What's your winner? Name a couple winners and let's go through them in free agency.
My first winner, which I only picked one, but I can make up more as we go. The Warriors.
Okay. Why?
Why? Because they not only did through the draft did they build for the future, right? Like who they get, Kaminga and oh my god, now I can't think of the other cat's name.
It starts with an M.
Was it Moody?
Moody.
So whoever their 2 draft picks were, they were building towards the future, right? Like everybody kind of thought they would pick guys that could play right away, but these were more potential type guys. And they went out and signed some veterans. They got Bielitsa from the Heat, formerly on the Kings, who also played for the Timberwolves. But I love this dude. He's 3'4".
Is that how you pronounce it? I thought it was like I thought it was like Belica. I was like, who are you talking about?
Hey, and the only reason I can pronounce it is because I'm 1 drink deep. Like if I was 3 or 4, it would have been a mess.
You're like Bjorn.
Yeah. I'm a potato. But he's got some toughness to him, man, and he can shoot the 3. You know what I mean? He's a smart player. He might get picked on a little bit on D by quicker dudes because I don't think he's like that nimble or that like fleet of foot. But other than that, like he's going to be a really good pickup for them. He's going to move the ball. He's not going to try to pound the ball into the ground. And then they got Otto Porter, who I feel if he's healthy, that's a huge pickup for him because that allows the one thing I want is for Klay to be able to stay at the 2. I don't want him to have to guard bigger dudes, even if he is fully healthy. So to get Porter there, who I think is a solid defender, he can shoot the ball and he doesn't really need it. Like he's a pretty unselfish guy. It was just the money that he was making was crazy. Like he was getting paid like a 1 or a 2, and he's clearly like a 3 or a 4 option. And that's what he's going to be here. So I think those were phenomenal moves. So not only did they build for the future, they were able to build for today as well.
So when I look at this question and who won, I'm looking at who gave themselves the best chance like to win a chip this season.
Oh, Warriors can still win a chip this season. Don't count out Curry, bro.
So you think those moves made them like closer to winning a championship?
They were already close. The only thing all they needed was Klay to come back.
Okay,
that's all they needed.
So I think the team that won free agency, I think Miami's up there. But the team that I'm going to be talking about is LA all day, baby. Them Lakers. All right? The Lakers.
How do I sign out of this?
Free agency. And let me tell you why. One, we did a show like 3-4 weeks ago where we were talking about the Rush trade. Maybe it was like 2-3 weeks ago. Have you been watching all of these like pundits? What they're saying about the Rush trade? What does it sound very similar to?
Yeah, all that nonsense you were saying.
I'm like, I literally watched Nick Wright on the Colin Cowherd show? Yeah. And literally like
verbatim.
Like point like in the order that I talked about it. I'm like, he must have seen the show.
He's watching.
No way.
He's watching.
Because like everything, he's like, Russ is gonna keep these guys healthy. He's gonna like, and like, he just went off about all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I think LA won is because they were strapped, right, with cap space. They didn't have many trade assets. So like going into free agency, people were like, how's this team gonna get better? They're stuck. Remember when people were talking about what the Lakers were gonna do? It's like all you could do is re-sign your guys, re-sign Schroeder, re-sign Caruso, re-sign THT, because you really can't make any impact moves and sign people that are gonna be able to be impact because you only had the mid-level exception. Well, now look at the team. They were able to go out and get Russ for basically one starter, and they were able to bring back like 3 second-round picks with that. Then they go out and just sign every former Laker that was available. They got Trevor Ariza, who is still like, not obviously.
He's a mummy, bro. That's what he better be their fifth man. Like, let's move that.
I don't think they signed any starters that are coming in. I think they signed like depth.
Some bench players.
Bench players. Yeah. So like Trevor Ariza is going to be, a good two-way player for them. Shoots 35% from three. Then they got Wayne Ellington, shoots 42% from
Can't
three.
Play defense though, but it's fine.
It's okay. It's okay. We're looking for shooters. The Lakers were already number 1 in defense, bro. They were number 23 in.
They traded away their whole team that played the defense for them. But
Trez is not a good defensive player. Kuz is and KCP was, obviously one of the one great and losing Caruso, obviously. But let me keep going with my rant. All right. So like we got Wayne Ellington, 42% shooter. Kent Bazemore, 41% shooter. Carmelo, 40% shooter from three. And then everybody's like, oh, they're ancient. Dwight Howard comes in. He's pretty old too, but brings back that energy and that tenacity that the Lakers really thrived off of the championship run that they had 2 years ago. So bringing him back, I think, is going to be huge as far as a backup center. And then they got like pieces that I didn't think was possible. Kendrick Nunn is a really good piece for them. He played really good basketball for the Miami Heat when he was called on, when, Dragic was injured. He played really well. Getting Malik Monk, I think, was pretty awesome. He's obviously shot really, really well from 3-point. And then re-signing Talon Horton-Tucker on, a pretty team-friendly type deal. As far as, if he doesn't pan out, he'd be a great trade asset. Mm-hmm. I think that they've done wonders. And to think they have 3 more spots to fill, and they really are going to be going after a big guys that could, shoot. And
Gasol's back too.
Gasol's back.
He's back. He opted in.
Gasol's back.
You're a Gasol hater though.
I mean, I just think he's not.
No.
He's not consistent enough, man.
He's there to make AD and LeBron better. He said, I'm not a star anymore. I'm here to make these guys better. And if you look at their numbers when he's on the floor, he does. But go ahead.
And he started playing a lot better near the end of the season. So I think, especially now that they have like bodies that they could throw that are big. Trez had a hard time playing because he's like shorter than AD. You know what I mean? So it's like AD plays better when there's a big body next to him. So now with Gasol and having Dwight Howard there, I think that's good. I've heard rumors of maybe Hassan Whiteside coming, but he just signed with Orlando.
Yeah.
So that didn't. I mean,
no, it wasn't Orlando.
The Jazz.
Yeah, the Jazz.
That didn't make sense to me.
I forgot all about that.
But I think that the Lakers have done a lot with what people thought was impossible. They've done what people didn't think was possible. And once again, it's Pelinka and LeBron teaming up together to be able to go out there and, maneuver and do things that people didn't think were possible. So I'm a big fan of what they did. I think they became better. And like I said, as long as they stay healthy, they're one of the top threats at winning a championship next season. And they only have maybe a 1-2 year window because, eventually Father Time's going to, beat up on LeBron. LeBron obviously is like fending it off better than anybody else has. But, I think, 2 years from now, it's going to be a different story. But for the next 2 years, the Lakers are in there.
So real quick question that I have. When LeBron does finally crash, like when Father Time finally does catch up to him, do you think it's going to be like it's just going to be a hardcore crash, or will he slowly decline?
I think it's going to be a slow decline, but whether it's a crash or not is going to be based off of how the Lakers build around him. Okay. Because if the Lakers just fall off a cliff, it's going to happen like what happened with Kobe, right? They went from contending in the playoffs and all that kind of stuff to just not even being able to sniff the playoffs. And it made Kobe's decline look worse than maybe it would have been if he had help that could have kept them competitive, right? So I think the same thing was going to be for LeBron. If he has a good enough team around him, he's going to move into just less of a more of just a distributor, more of just a spot up shooter, not somebody that needs to take over the game, but they need to keep somebody next to him that can be that take over the game type player. So it doesn't make him look as
well. I think that's what Russ is supposed to do, right? That's why they bring Russ in, because for whatever reason, AD doesn't do it all the time. right? Like
Right.
he's kind of in and out with it. And I don't know why. That's kind of weird because I feel like there's times in the Pelicans, like this dude looked like he was going to be unstoppable. And he kind of looked like he brought it every night. Or maybe it was just because I didn't watch him all the time or
I
wasn't
just don't
watching
think
him
he's
as much.
internally motivated as much as like killers need to be. He played really well when he had like great leadership. Like that, those years that he was showing out, Rondo was on that team.
Rondo was on
And
that
so
team.
like
Yeah.
I think that's what I don't think he's just like that internally motivated type guy. He needs somebody that could bring it out of him.
But
So
Russ is though. And
yeah.
I didn't hate the Russ thing. I mean, secretly, I just want Russ to win a ring. So if he can win one with the Lakers, like I'm all for it. As long as the Nets don't win, I don't really care.
Wow, the Nets have actually become
they've supplanted like my number one enemies. Yeah, I cannot bear to see that Nets team win one. But my only concern was playoff wise because, like you just said, like defense gets way different in the playoffs, and so.
Right.
When I was talking about like needing the shooting or having like enough guys out there that can shoot, at least be a threat to shoot. Like that's because we know they're not going to hit as much because the defense is better.
Right.
And so that was my only concern and my only knock on Russ actually going there.
But I think that's what I say. That's why I think they're one of the winners is because they've got like everybody they brought in is a better shooter than they had last season, right? So you know, it obviously everything is on paper right now. It's still yet to be seen how the chemistry works and all that kind of stuff. But at least on paper, you know, their 3-point shooting has gone up drastically.
Yeah,
way better.
Oh.
And so.
And that monk pickup was huge because he was looking real good in Charlotte down the stretch right before he got another little like nagging injury that kept him out. But that dude, he looked like he got his confidence back. And I remember reading, I think I was either reading an article or I was listening to him with somebody talking about like his development and how in the beginning it was a struggle, but the Hornets stuck with him. They believed in him. They kept giving him playing time, and that really boosted his confidence, especially when they got that new coach. Was it Borrego? Whenever Borrego came in and he just like told him like these are the things we've got to do, and he's like I continue to work on them, and all of a sudden like it just kind of clicked for him. And so if that click continues in the Lakers system, when he's just going to get wide open look after wide open look,
right,
that's going to be scary. Legit scary.
For sure. Another team that I talked about, Miami Heat, I think that they're big winners because they needed a point guard, right? They played really well when Dragic was healthy in there, and I think obviously Lowry is an upgrade from Dragic. I think that team is going to be dogs on defense, right? With Lowry, Jimmy Butler,
Bam Adebayo.
Yeah, so and PJ Tucker, you know, so too. That's going to be probably the one. If that might, I actually will call it right now. I think that's going to be the best defensive team in the East for sure. It might even be the best defensive team in the league, just because you have.
Can they score enough to beat the Nets though?
Can anybody score enough to beat the Nets, right? So
Warriors.
Possibly. I mean, there's probably no defense,
bro. There's like
the defense. There's going to be no defense in that type of scores. That might be like that might be the first 180, 178 type game.
How bad do you think Draymond nut checks fucking KD? Do you think he comes with like the full on karate kick, or does he give him just like the little tap like he gave LeBron?
You know what? I think KD's different, bro. I think Dre won't go at KD.
You don't think so?
I think KD will cut him.
No, KD. KD's so soft.
I think KD really is really has guys that run with him in the streets, and I don't think Draymond wants any of that smoke.
First of all KD's gonna do is get on a burner Twitter account. I don't know. He's gotten pretty ballsy. He's been using his own Twitter account lately and just slander and stuff. But nah, KD ain't about that life. He don't want that.
But look. The Golden State Warriors aren't going to make it to the finals to play the Nets. So
you get out of here, bro. If Clay comes back at least even 80%,
they're beating your Suns?
No, nobody's beating the Suns.
You're like contradicting yourself. Everything is like
you can't ask me a question like and have me be non-partial and then throw out another question. You know you're gonna get biased. Like nobody's beating the Suns.
Mango still thinks it's the Bucks.
I mean, Giannis comes out crazy.
Giannis
Oh, he
Giannis
was
is
so
different.
unbeatable.
Yeah, there's nobody on the Nets that could slow him down either.
Mm-mm.
So that's like a thing.
He looks like Embiid through like the first 3 quarters. You know what I mean? But he
Yeah.
just keeps it up for a 4th quarter. Like,
Yep.
somebody should probably tell Embiid you got to play 4 quarters. Like,
And this is without him even like each year he's gotten better and better at shooting.
Yeah.
This is like he still doesn't have a shot, like
no shot
yet. You know what I mean? But he's like getting better at it. And in the playoffs, dude, he was shooting like that closeout game. What do you go 15 for 17 from the free throw line?
From
like
the free throw line. And not only that, like I feel like his handle in the net series looked terrible. I felt like it was just clunky, like 1-2 dribbles and couldn't do anything. By the end of the Hawk series, oh no, because the Hawk series he got injured by the end. At the 2nd or 3rd game of the Sun series, this fool's doing these in and out between his legs, like sizing people up with the crossover. I was like, oh, when did this happen? Like, did he just fake an injury so he could go learn how to dribble real quick and then came back? Like, what happened here?
I mean, I think he's one of the hardest workers in the NBA, especially for a superstar. Like
considering he's only played basketball for 10 years,
right?
That's pretty impressive.
And he just like his mentality. Like I said, I always go back to his mentality. Like he's the closest thing to Kobe to me, mentality wise, in the league right now. Just because he like, even though he's already probably considered the best player in the game right now, he still wants to get better, right?
Yeah, he's not settling on that.
Exactly.
That's not all he wants. Yeah,
exactly. But once again, you cut me off from my rant. Miami being one of the winners is, I think their defense has elevated, and a really under the radar type re-signing was Victor Oladipo, right? So he's been oft injured. However, usually the type of injury that he has takes about 1 or 2 years to really come back from. So this is going to be year 3 from him coming back from that injury. And he's probably going to be a guy that comes off the bench and only play be that super 6th man. And if they could get anything out of him, 80% of what he's capable of on offense, mixed with Tyler Hero, mixed with, some of these other guys that are going to be coming off the bench, that team has multiple different ways to beat you. And especially when you have that type of defense, lockdown defense, they're going to be a tough out, for anybody, including, the Nets and Milwaukee. I think that's a tough 7-game series for any of them, just because of, one, the heart of Jimmy Butler and Kyle Lowry, and then just the pieces that they have there as well. So,
do they still have Dwayne Dedmon as their backup big man? Because I feel like that might be the only thing they're missing is a solid backup big man.
I think Dedmon left, but let me see. I think they signed somebody.
Because I think that's probably the only thing literally they're missing. Because Bam, as good as he is, we know he can't go up again. He can't bang with Embiid for a full 36 minutes. And are they going to run Bam? They're going to just start him at center? They're going to go straight with the lineup of death and let Bam be their small ball guy?
Probably.
All right. I mean, I don't know.
He re-signed. He 1-year deal.
Okay. Yeah. So they should be all right then. I like that team then. Because I like Dedmon as a cheap backup. I think in Atlanta for a little bit he was kind of an overpaid starter, and he was making like that $10-15 million money, and I was like, no, that's too much for a dude that puts up backup numbers playing like 25-30 minutes. Like, you can't do that. But if he's there again on the cheap, I'm with it.